Okay, so you want to own a golf course. Good news, there are around 16,000 of them in the United States, more than any other country on earth. People will pay you $50, sometimes $100 just to walk across your grass for an afternoon. The members pay every single month whether they show up or not. There's a restaurant, a bar, a pro shop, and a parking lot full of expensive cars on a Saturday. You stand on the clubhouse balcony with a coffee, watch the sun come up over the 18th green, and let the money roll in. It sounds like the most pleasant business you could possibly own. It is not. For more than a decade straight, the United States closed more than 100 golf courses every single year, and in the worst years, well over 200. Not because people stopped playing golf, but because the math of keeping 150 acres of perfect grass alive quietly destroyed owner after owner. The average daily feed course operates on margins so thin that one bad weather season can wipe out a year of profit. And the most valuable thing most golf courses own is not the golf course. By the end of this video, you will understand why a golf course can lose money for years, and the owner will happily keep it anyway. You will understand how a course actually makes its money, which is almost never the golf. You will understand the single quiet cost that bankrupts more courses than anything else. And you will understand why a golf course is very often worth far more dead than alive. Let's start with what you're actually buying, because a golf course is not one business. It comes in three sizes, and they are three completely different businesses. The first is a municipal or daily fee public course. This is a city-owned track or the independent operator, where anybody can pay green fee and play. You can buy a modest one for $2 to $5 million. The economics here are brutal and public. A lot of city courses are run intentionally at a loss, subsidized by the town as a form of recreation. The same way city runs a swimming pool. You charge $30 to $60 a round. You run on volume, and you pray for sunshine, because every rained out Saturday is revenue you never get back. The second is a mid-tier private club. This is the members-only course with a dining room, a tennis court, and a wait list that may or may not be real. Building or buying one runs $10 to $30 million. The members pay annual dues of $5,000 to $50,000 and a one-time fee to join that can run from $10,000 to several $100,000. The golf is almost beside the point here, and we'll see. You are really selling belonging. And then there's the top tier, the destination and elite resort course. Think Pebble Beach, where a single round can cost more than $600, or the remote destination resorts that men like Mike Kaiser built from sand dunes in the middle of nowhere and turned into pilgrimage sites. These cost $40 million to well over $100 million all in. They are less a golf course and more a luxury hotel that happens to be wrapped around 18 holes. So you've picked your tier. Now you have to actually build or buy the thing. And this is where the dream of the Sunrise Coffee starts to get expensive. Start with the land. A standard 18-hole course needs between 120 and 200 acres. In a rural market, that land might be cheap. In the suburban location where the golfers with money actually live, the same acreage can run into the tens of millions of dollars on its own. Hold that thought, because the land is going to come back at the very end of the story. Then the construction. Shaping 150 acres of raw ground into fairways, greens, bunkers, and water hazards, moving the earth, laying the drainage, and growing in the turf costs anywhere from $4 million to $15 million depending on the terrain and the ambition. A flat field is cheap. A dramatic course carved through hills and wetlands is not. Then the irrigation system, the single most important piece of plumbing on the property. A modern course irrigation system, the pumps, the miles of underground pipe, the thousands of sprinkler heads, and the computer that controls them, costs $1 to $3 million to install. Without it, your investment turns brown and dies in a single hot week. Then the clubhouse. This is where it ranges from sensible to insane. A simple pro shop and grill might cost $1 million. A full country club clubhouse with a ballroom, locker rooms, and a fine dining kitchen can cost $20, $30, even $40 million by itself. Then the equipment, the fleet of movers, the aerators, the sprayers, and the golf carts. A real maintenance fleet plus a cart fleet runs $500,000 to over $1 million. Add it up: land, construction, irrigation, clubhouse, equipment, permits, and the working capital to survive the first few seasons before the membership fills. A genuine private club in a good market lands somewhere between $10 million and over $30 million to put in the ground. And you haven't sold a single tee time yet. Now, The question that actually matters: where does the money come from? Because it's not the green fees. Here's a problem with golf. The golf itself barely pays for the grass it's played on. A quality course spends $500,000 to over $1 million a year just on maintenance. The superintendent, the crew, the water, the chemicals, the gas. Green fees and dues mostly go to cover that. The actual profit, the part that makes owning a course worth anything, comes from 3 places, and almost none of them involve hitting a ball. Stream 1 is food, beverage, and events. This is a real engine of a club. The wedding in the ballroom, the corporate outing, the charity scramble, the Sunday brunch, the $4 bottle of water, and the $14 clubhouse burger. A single wedding can bring in $15,000 to $30,000 for one afternoon, and well over $50,000 at an upscale club, at margins a golf operation can only dream of. A lot of private clubs, food, beverage, and events make up 30 to 40% of total revenue. The course is a backdrop. The banquet hall pays the bills. Stream 2 is a membership structure, and this is where it gets clever. At many private clubs, you don't just pay annual dues, you pay a one-time fee to join. And at some clubs, that fee is structured as a refundable initiation deposit. Here's what that means. You hand the club $50,000 to become a member. On paper, you get it back when you eventually leave, once a new member replaces you. In practice, the club holds $40,000 interest-free for 10, 20, 30 years. Multiply that by hundreds of members, and the club is sitting on a pile of cash that legally belongs to its members, but functions like a free loan that never has to be paid back as long as a waitlist keeps moving. It is a subscription business with a deposit slip stapled to the front. And Stream 3, the one nobody thinks about when they picture the sunrise on the 18th green, is the land. Remember those 120 to 200 acres? A golf course is one of the largest single pieces of contiguous, undeveloped, beautifully landscaped real estate in any suburb. And for decades, the smartest money in golf was never really in the golf. It was in the dirt. Developers figured out that you could build a golf course not to make money on golf, but as an amenity. A loss leader that lifts the value of everything around it. A home that backs onto a fairway sells for 10, 20% more than the identical home one street over, sometimes more on a top course. So the developer builds a course, sells 200 premium lots at a premium price, and the course can lose money forever because it already did its job. It sold the houses. The course exists to make the land around it worth more. This is a fundamental thing about owning a golf course. You think you're buying a business that sells rounds of golf. You're actually buying a very expensive lawn whose real value is a banquet hall, the members' deposits, and the dirt underneath it. So with weddings, deposits, and the most valuable land in the suburb, why do golf courses close by the hundreds every year? 2 failure patterns show up over and over. Failure 1 is a maintenance treadmill. A golf course is a living thing that is trying to die at all times. The grass needs water, and in a hot or drought-stricken region, the water bill alone can run into the hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. It needs mowing every single day, fertilizer, aeration, pest control, and a superintendent who knows what he's doing. You cannot cut this budget when times get tight, because the moment the course looks shabby, the members quit and the green fee players go to the nicer course down the road. So you're locked into spending $1 million a year, keeping the grass perfect for a business that's already struggling to break even. Every other business can cut its product costs when margins get thin. A golf course cannot stop watering the grass. Failure 2 is a land trap, and it is a cruel twist of the whole industry. The United States overbuilt golf courses massively during the boom of the 1990s and early 2000s. Then participation flattened, and the country was left with far more courses than golfers to fill them. So a struggling course owner looks at this property and does the math. The course loses money every year, but the land, that 150 acres of prime suburban real estate, could be worth a fortune to a housing developer. The course is worth more dead than alive. And that's where he gets stuck, because the moment he tries to sell to a developer and bulldoze the fairways, the neighbors, the very people whose homes are worth more because they back onto his course, fight him in every zoning meeting and courtroom they can find. The land is worth millions as houses, but it's frozen as a golf course nobody can afford to run. The owner is trapped between a business that loses money and a piece of land that isn't allowed to sell. 2 scenarios, real numbers. Scenario 1, the daily fee public course. Build or buy cost, around $4 million. It does 40,000 rounds a year, at an average of $45. And once you add the cart fees, the driving range, and a modest grill, revenue lands at maybe $2.5 to $3 million. Maintenance, labor, and the loan eat almost all of it. Profit in a good, sunny year, close to zero. In a wet year, a loss. You're not building wealth, you're building yourself a very demanding outdoor job. Scenario 2. The established private club. Built decades ago, land long since paid off. 400 members paying $12,000 a year in dues, plus a banquet operation that throws 50 weddings a year, plus a few $1 million in members' deposits sitting in the bank. This one actually works, and it works precisely because the golf is the smallest part of it. The real assets are the members' loyalty, the event's calendar, and the priceless, unsellable, deeply appreciated land underneath the whole thing. This is the difference between a golf course and almost every other business we've covered. With most businesses, the thing on the sign is a thing that makes some money. The thing on the sign, the golf, is a part that loses money, kept alive by the waiting hall, the deposit slips, and the dirt. In the end, the men who got rich from golf were almost never the ones counting tee times. They were the ones who understood what they were really sitting on. The green fees were never the point. The point was 150 acres of prime, beautifully maintained suburban land, quietly appreciating every year, while everybody standing on it argued about their handicap.